the subscapular nerve, which is the nerve that innervates, basically causes the stabilizing muscles of the infraspinator and supraspinator of the scapula. Okay, what am I talking about? I was called in by the vet to have a look at a Frisian dressage horse. He's probably training medium, advanced medium, but competing medium, doing very successful. Now, obviously, when I just said the word Frisian and I said the word dressage, yes, if we look at the structure of a horse, right, fundamentally pulling horses, okay, but over the last few years, I've seen a real shift in the Frisian breed, and we're getting more of this athletic type, so leaner body, long limbs, which can also cause problems. But this horse, this Frisian, is a particularly well put together horse. Why is this important? Looking at the horse's structure is so fundamental when it comes to understanding A, what's going on, B, what treatment to do, and C, if it's actually going to be worth doing exercises and what to change with the training. So the horse's structure is very vital to understand before we even do any form of treatment or adjustment or change the training. So diagnosed 2 years ago with a pathology in the neck, so the lower cervicals, the horse has got arthritic changes. I've actually drawn you guys an image here, which I'm going to show you now so that you guys know what I'm talking about when I say the neck and which part of the neck in particular. So let's get this image up here. Okay, so hopefully you can see that on the screen. So the neck I'm talking about here is this part. We zoom in. The horse has changes in the C5 and C6, C7 part of the neck on the right side. Now he's under vet care, so he's medicated, and as far as a pain perspective, we know that's managed. But this is the key thing. The vet called me in because she said that he is very asymmetric throughout his shoulder girdle. So what she recognized is that his scapulars are not the same. So when I went to assess him, the first thing I like to do is observe. The more I can observe a horse and understand the full picture, the better chance I have of really getting to the root of what to treat, and most importantly, so that it suits the demands of the horse, the rider, and the discipline, okay? Because treatments have to be adapted for those three aspects. Structure of the rider, structure of the horse and rider, the combination, but the discipline specific as well. And I noticed that with this rider on board, I was asking the rider questions, and I said, yes, I can definitely see that there is a difference in the way he brings the front legs forward. So actually brings the right forelimb, which is the one where the arthritis is in the neck, brings it up higher than the left fore. And the rider said yes. So often when he first started riding this horse, he thought that it was actually lame on the left fore, but it was because of the neck on the right. But another thing I noticed was behind, because we know we cannot look at horses in isolation. Their entire body moves as one. There's never just one area that is doing all of the work. It is a combination. And this is why form equals function. Understanding anatomy really makes a big difference in saving you time, saving you money, and getting to the answers a lot quicker as well. So I noticed that his left hind, particularly with the rider on, just a long rein, that there was a difference in the left hind in flexion and bringing forward compared to the right. So we've now got what I call in a movement map a diagonal compensation pattern or a diagonal dysfunction. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? When I took the rider, the saddle off, I really saw what was going on with this horse. So if we start from the back going forward, when I looked at his pelvic girdle, looked at how the muscles, looked at how the hind legs were stood underneath the pelvis, underneath the spine of the horse, the lumbar spine, there was a clear difference left to right. The right side of his hindquarters, what we call the extensor muscle chain, had a different feel. Tonicity was actually, in my subjective opinion, more developed than the left side. So he was weaker through the left lumbars, the left glutes, and hamstrings left. So when I came to the front, when it came to the right side, I said, yes, of course, I can see the scapula, the stabilizing muscles of the infra and supraspinatus were basically flat as a pancake on the left. But the right side on the scapula was overdeveloped. Plus, he was overdeveloped in the thoracic trapezius and the serratus ventralis. So what am I talking about when I say these? So I've again got some pictures for you that I've drawn. This is what I do in my spare time when I'm not working with horses, is I draw horses. So with this picture here, these are the muscles that I'm talking about. This is the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, the deltoid. These were flat on the left side and overdeveloped on the right. And then if we go to the, where have I got? So this one here, the rhomboid, you can see there, this was overdeveloped on the right, and the other one that was overdeveloped was, I've got a picture of it, the dorsal serrate musculature, the cranial part on the right, again overdeveloped compared to the left. So when I stood behind this horse, like stood here on his hindquarters, and I looked downwards, you could really see the difference in how it was put together. So I've got loads of pole work images. I wanted to show you. So why would he be underdeveloped, especially on the left side compared to the right, when the issue was the right side of the neck, like the pathology? In my opinion, now as a chiropractor, I'm not going to go and manipulate, annoy, bother the arthritic joint. I'm going to work on the compensations to improve function. I'm not looking for symmetry, because if you think about it, the reason he is underdeveloped on the left side, he has a left splint on the lateral aspect of his cannon, is to support, is to offload himself, okay? I also believe that the impingement in the neck is causing blockage through a nerve called the suprascapular nerve, which originates and comes out of the spinal column of nerves between C6 and C7, and that there innervates, so ensures that those two muscles I just spoke about, the infra and supraspinatus, are functioning well. So if affected, as in if there is impingement and that nerve, the suprascapular nerve, isn't functioning correctly, guess what? You're going to have muscle wastage. So instability in the shoulder and poor limb control forward. So here's the nerve. I've drawn it for you to give you guys an understanding. So can you see there? And it comes out of the neck vertebra, and those are the two muscles that it innervates. What do we do with a horse like this? Because as I started this episode with, I'm not looking for symmetry, I'm not looking for perfection. Some of the most, actually all of us are not straight. Not any of us are 100% symmetrical. So why do we expect that from our horses? We need to be looking at things in a much more, not subjective, but a much more framework perspective, so that we can start to understand and have clinical reasoning why we're doing adjustments as chiropractors, physiotherapists, osteopaths, whoever it is, but also knowing if it is the correct thing to be doing. Because if we look at how I started this episode of understanding what is the structure of the horse, so would I be applying the same treatment this Frisian is having to a pony? No, different structure. Would I be applying the same treatment to a really leggy Arab? No. If the discipline is different, the structure of the horse is different, the treatment has got to be different. And then once the treatment is different, the aftercare has to be very specific. So yeah, I've really given you a bit of a deep dive into how I think as a chiropractor that works with horses around the world. And if you guys have any questions and actually want to know more about these drawings that I'm doing or whatever it is, if I've maybe triggered a spark or triggered something, let me know. Send a comment below, and obviously don't forget to give me a follow and subscribe.